Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative. Welcome to my Easter Critters card series. This is the second project in my series that I have dubbed the Nordic Easter card because I did sort of a Scandinavian folk art style Easter card using the Newton's Nook new Cottage garden stamp set. But to start off with, I am using the Elizabeth Craft Design Stitched Ovals die set. And I am taking the second largest die and I'm going to trace it onto this piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock. And this is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm just going to trace this die, the outside of the die, basically to just give me sort of an idea of where the oval would cut. I knew I planned to cut the stamp design out, so I just wanted to have an idea of where the oval was going to be, sort of, as I stamped the design. Now I'm going to stamp the design, as I mentioned, using the Newton's Nook Cottage Garden stamp set. It's brand new, it's super cute, and to me, very Scandinavian looking. I have Scandinavian ancestry, so many of my holidays growing up involved Scandinavian style decorations, and so I decided I had to absolutely make a Nordic styled Easter card for my series this year, especially once I saw this stamp set. Now I am using Distress Oxides to stamp my image, and this first image, which is some birds with some flowers and a bunch of other little decorations, I decided I wanted to do 3 different colors on this to make it look sort of like a painted folk art kind of piece. So I am wiping the ink off of the areas that I don't want to be red. Now you might be thinking, wow, that looks really time consuming, and why didn't you just use markers or something and like color it onto the stamp and then just stamp it once, color the different colors on there and just stamp it once. Well, the reason is that I wanted to get that really painted folk art look to this design. And Distress Oxides give a really cool matte chalk paint look to stamped images when you just stamp with them and don't do anything else. So that was why I really wanted to use the Distress Oxides for this. Now, once I got the method down of using a Q-tip, of like taking a Q-tip and wetting it and then squeezing out the water and then sort of wiping the ink off, it was really easy to just clean the ink off of the areas that I didn't need it on the stamped image. So honestly, even though this looks extremely time consuming and somewhat tedious, it wasn't really that bad. I think start to finish, it maybe took 10 minutes max to do this entire thing, like from the first ink color to the last ink stamping with this hen or bird's image was maybe 10 minutes. It was probably less because it really honestly didn't take that long, believe it or not. So now I'm using cracked pistachio. The first color was fired brick, and now I am using cracked pistachio, and so I'm again taking the ink off of any place that I don't want to be green. So that was really mostly the leaves. I was leaving green on this image, and and then taking anything off where it was already red. And there's a flower in the middle that I'm going to turn gray, and there's some little dots towards the top that I want to be gray also at the end. So I cleaned those off as well. But again, the Q-tip method worked pretty easily to get this cleaned off really nicely. And even though it's not perfect, like because you have to kind of line it up when you stamp it each time, I get it off a little bit here and there. And there were a couple places where I had a little bit of color mixing. But you know what? That was okay to me. Like, I feel like handmade cards are going to have mistakes on them because they are handmade. And I also liked that it kind of added to the folk art look of the piece to have it be a little bit imperfect. So I was good with that. And so this is my last color, Ice Spruce. And that is my completed 3-color stamped image. And then for this guy, I used 2 different colors. So I did use the cracked pistachio and then fired brick on the flowers. But I will spare you most of this so you don't have to watch me cleaning it off every single time. But there you go. And then on the bottom half of the card, I just stamped single colors only. And so I knew I wanted to use this little Happy Easter banner. So I had a mock-up going. And so I stamped the rabbit in Ice Spruce. And then I'm stamping these leaves in cracked pistachio, and then there's a small flower that I'm going to stamp in fired brick on either side of the leaves. And then I will stamp this little heart image from the stamp set in cracked pistachio on either side to kind of get this folk arty looking design. Now for my banner, I cut that using the Lawn Fawn Banner-tastic dies set. I don't have the matching stamps, so I'm going to cheat and just use my marker to draw in the lines. So this is the Weathered Wood Distress marker. One thing I found that our Distress Oxides, they're different color than Distress inks. So the markers that are the same name don't necessarily match. They're not completely off entirely, but I did find that the markers were kind of darker than the oxides. So I used Weathered Wood instead of Ice Spruce as the closest match marker wise for that color, and it worked pretty well. And now I am just stamping my greeting, which is Happy Easter from the Lawn Fawn Extra Special Easter stamp set, in stamped it in Versamark ink, and now I'm heat embossing it in gold embossing powder. For my card base, I have cut a piece of Elizabeth Craft Designs 100-pound soft finish cardstock in white at 4.5 by 11, and then I folded it in half. And I'm going to cut it out using this largest oval in that Stitched Ovals die set. Now you can see at the top I have folded it over and it won't cut through that part. So that's what's going to create the card base. And then I have cut another oval using that same size die out of gold mirror card to cover up the front of the card and be the mat for my stamped image. And then there is the stamped images that I cut using the second largest oval die in that set. So to adhere down the gold cardstock, I'm using some Elizabeth Craft Designs 6mm double-sided adhesive tape because I wanted something really heavy duty. That gold is kind of heavy. And then for my stamped part, I used my ATG gun just because I didn't need it to be as heavy duty. Now you can see how cute is that design once it's cut out with the stitched ovals. I just love that little stitching detail. Like, it totally reminds me of folk art, like Scandinavian sort of folk art. I thought it was just so cute, if I do say so myself. Just the little stitching details around it were totally awesome. And then I popped up the banner with some foam tape. Now I decided the top was a little bit empty at this point, so I grabbed my cracked pistachio and the little heart stamp, and I decided to stamp one little heart at the very top just to finish off the card. And that is the completed design. Now, I think this stamp set is super cute, and it would not necessarily have to be Scandinavian. Now, I purposely tried to make it look that way by picking sort of Scandinavian type colors, but I think if you used, say, like really, really bright colors or all black, or, just completely changed it up, it would definitely not have to look Scandinavian. So hopefully I've given you a little inspiration for a different style of Easter card today. Thanks so much. You can find the supply list linked in the video description below, as well as on my blog. If you liked the video, I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. And I always love to hear from you, so leave me a comment as well. Here are a couple other videos you might enjoy watching. First is a Nordic style Christmas card I did, and the second one is the first card in my Easter cards series. Thanks so much. Have a great day.